I want to tell you the truth about a season I lived through. Not the polished version I told over the years, but the real story. For almost 3 years, I knew deep down in that place you just know things, that this was no longer my place. And these were no longer my people. And this space was no longer aligned with who I was becoming. My heart had already moved on. My spirit knew, my body knew. Every work meeting felt a little heavier. Every interaction I felt a little smaller. I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel like myself. And yet, there was no peace to leave. Welcome to Guided. I am Brenda Bertrand. This is a podcast about hearing God's voice in a noisy world. Each week we slow down together, tell the truth about life as it is, and listen for the God who is already with us. Today, we're talking about one of the hardest places a person can live, when your heart has moved on, but you don't feel released yet. Now, this is not talked about enough, especially among women who are faithful and responsible and intuitive and conditioned to hold things together even when the room is no longer nourishing. We talk about clarity, we talk about hearing God's voice, we talk about taking the leap when you know it is time. But what about when you know it is not time yet, even though everything in you wants to go? What about when your longing says go, but your peace says stay? When your clarity has shifted, but you don't feel like God has released you yet. When you can see the door, but you're not supposed to walk through it yet. That is where I lived for over 3 years. And friend, it is a form of spiritual captivity we rarely name. Not punishment, not failure, not confusion, but formation, honesty, revelation, growth, and it is excruciating. Those 3 years were not wasted, even though they felt like it sometimes, even though I kept asking God, why am I still here? I already know this is not it. Can we move this along? But here's what those years taught me: how to discern in real time, not just in retrospect when it is all clear, but while I was in it. Recognizing this is misaligned and I'm staying anyway for now. That is a different kind of discernment than what most people talk about. It is not about finding clarity so you can act. It is about having clarity and choosing to wait. How to recognize misalignment without bitterness. This was huge, and it was such a huge lesson for me. And I didn't do it well along those years. And then I finally got it together. I spent some of those years really frustrated and angry. And I really became unlike myself. It was almost like I was making people around me pay for the fact that I didn't want to be there. And, I just kept checking in with God and with myself. Am I supposed to be here? Is there still work being done in me here? Not is there still work to be done? There'll always be work to be done. But is there still work being done in me here? And the answer kept being yes, even when I dreaded it. How to survive in ungraced spaces without losing your soul. Well, let me tell you what an ungraced space is. An ungraced space is a place where you are no longer meant to be, but you have not been released yet. The grace for it is thin. You have to work harder to stay present, to stay kind, to stay yourself. And I learned you can do that. You can be in a place that does not fit you anymore without it destroying you. But you have to be honest about it. You cannot pretend it's fine. You have to name it, or at least to yourself, to God, to your people. And I realize institutions can use people without ever seeing them. And this one is hard because I wanted to believe that if I did good work and if I was a good person, that I would be valued. If I showed up faithfully, I would be seen. But that is not how institutions work. Institutions are not people, and they do not love you. They cannot. And when you expect them to, you end up heartbroken. What happens when a person stays in a place that cannot meet them, and how God stays with them anyway, is really an incredible grace. Because here's the thing: even though that place could not see me, God could. And even though I felt small and unseen and undervalued, I was not abandoned. God was with me in that ungraced space, doing work I could not yet see, preparing me for what was next. And that is what kept me there. Not obligation, not fear. I didn't think God was keeping me there as a hostage. I just didn't have peace to leave. There was a quiet, persistent sense, not yet, stay for now. I am still at work in you here. And then, one ordinary day, the assignment ended. I should have been devastated, right? That is what you're supposed to feel when a chapter closes without your permission. But I was not. I was relieved, released, unburdened, free. I remember that day hearing the words and feeling my whole body exhale, like I'd been holding my breath for 3 years and could finally let it go. Because sometimes God does not give you the exit you thought you wanted. Sometimes you receive the exit you need. Sometimes you're removed from a space you had already outgrown because staying any longer would shrink your spirit. That ending was the best gift I didn't know how to ask for. It confirmed what my heart had known for years. It gave me back my peace, my energy, my direction. It showed me that God's timing is often quieter, slower, and more precise than my fear or my frustration. And it taught me this: there is sacred work happening even in ungraced spaces with ungraced people, even in misaligned assignments, even in places where you are unseen, even when your heart has already moved on. So this is for you, the woman who feels that same pull. Your longing says go, your peace says stay, your spirit feels restless, and your job, your relationships, your environment no longer fits. You're not behind. You're not weak. You are not misguided. You are discerning. And I want to tell you something. This tension you're in, it is not failure. It is formation. God is doing something in the waiting, in the staying, in the discomfort of knowing you are not where you're supposed to be long term, but being there anyway for now. And here's what I've learned. You will know when it is time, not because someone tells you, not because the circumstances becomes unbearable, but because the peace will shift. That sense of not yet will become now, and that feeling of stay will become go, and your whole body will know. But here's the both and we have to hold. You can know you are not where you're supposed to be long term and be exactly where you are supposed to be right now. You can feel misaligned and be right in the center of God's plan for your life. You can want to leave and be asked to stay. Both are true, both matter. And learning to hold that tension without collapsing, without forcing a resolution before it is time, without pretending everything is fine when it's not, that is spiritual maturity. So if you're in that place right now, if your heart has moved on, but God has not released you yet, here's what I want you to know. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. The misalignment is real. The fact that you're still there does not mean you are failing. It means you are being as faithful as you know to what you are hearing, even when it is uncomfortable. God is with you in the ungraced space. You are not abandoned when you are amidst ungraced people. You're not forgotten. Sacred work is happening even when you cannot see it. When it is time to go, you will know. The peace will shift, the release will come, and you'll walk through that door with your whole chest. Now let me tell you how to tell the difference, because some of you are wondering, how do I know if I'm supposed to stay or if I am just afraid to leave? Here's the difference. If you are supposed to stay for now, there is discomfort, but there is also peace underneath it. When you pray about leaving, you feel agitated, not relieved. You have a sense of not yet that will not go away. You can see that something is still being worked out in you here. If it's time to go, the peace shifts. Leaving feels like freedom, not fear. When you imagine staying, your body contracts. The sense of not yet becomes now. You start seeing the path forward, even if it's not fully clear. And sometimes the decision gets made for you. You get removed from the space because you've already learned what you need to learn there, and sometimes staying longer would just be repetition, not formation. So trust the divine process. Trust the timing. Trust that when it is time, you will know. Here's what I want you to do this week if you are in this tension. Name it out loud or in your journal. My heart has moved on, but I am not released yet. Just naming it takes some of the weight off because you are not pretending anymore. Ask God, what are you still doing in me here? What am I supposed to know from this place, both ungraced and graced? And listen, not for a dramatic answer, just for a sense, a nudge, a knowing, and set a boundary around the bitterness. There was a time during those 3 years I just I didn't even want to show up. And I was becoming an ungraced person myself in an ungraced place with ungraced people. You can acknowledge the misalignment without letting it poison your spirit. Just say it to yourself. This is not my long-term place. These are not my people. But for now, I am here, and I'm going to stay soft. And keep checking in. Every few weeks, ask, is it still not yet? Or has it shifted to now? Do not ignore the shift when it comes. And do not override it because you're afraid or because it's inconvenient. When the peace shifts, trust it. You will know. That season was a gift, a painful, awkward, perfectly timed gift, because I had already done the work of discerning. I had already lived through the tension of staying when I wanted to go. And when the release came, I was ready. Not because I had it all figured out, because I didn't, but because I had grown into being faithful in an ungraced space. I had learned what I needed to learn. I had stayed soft sometimes, even when the room was hard. And when God said, okay, now you can go, I left. So if you are in that place, if your heart has moved on, but God has not released you yet, I see you. I know how hard it is. And I know how hard you can become. I know how long the days feel. I know how much you want a clearer answer and how you want that exit sign to brighten up and for that door to open. But I also know this. When the moment comes, when God releases you, when you feel a peace, when the chapter ends, when your spirit sighs a big relief, you will know. And you will say with your whole chest, it is time, and you'll walk through that door free. Before we close, let's breathe together. I needed this word today, so I'm receiving it. I'm right here with you. Here is my blessing. May you be faithful in the ungraced space and soft in the waiting. May you trust the timing even when it's slower than you can bear. May you know that sacred work is happening in you even when you cannot see it and even when the room cannot see you. And when the peace shifts, may you recognize it. May you trust it. May you walk through that door with your whole chest. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are guided. You are held. You are home. Thank you for listening to Guided. If this episode landed for you, share it with a woman who's navigating her own ungraced space and ungraced people. She needs to know she is not alone. Please subscribe, give us 5 stars if you like it, and don't miss another episode. And if you're ready to go deeper into vocational discernment, hearing God's voice in your work, and trusting the timing of your own story, join us at www.brendabertrand.com. The link is in the show notes. I'll see you next week. Take care.